Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about nomenclature. Oh boy. So the other day I saw something and I'm like, okay, you're a little odd and definitely not someone I would want to associate with, but I'm almost with you because there's certain phrases that I'm not particularly fond of that are used when it comes down to being hard of hearing, being deaf, being whatever. Sure, first of all, the phrase hard of hearing makes me think of Granny from the Tweety Pie cartoons. She is sweet. You can tell that she probably has no flipping clue what's going on unless it's right under her nose. She's just there. That's the image I have because I'm an elderly grand millennial, so to speak. And that's one of my references. But I'm not thinking it's time for me to start using purple shampoo to make my silver hair come through. It's time for me just to live my life and enjoy myself and get myself where I need to be. And so on and so forth. So there is that. This is my bionic ear, aka hearing aid. It has little fake pearls on it because I decorated them with hearing aid stickers for a concert that I went to, which was a bit tough for me actually and a little bit painful because I wasn't really getting the sound from the voices as I was getting the sound from the ultra high the drums and the electronic devices. So that was kind of a rough start, but I went to my first concert recently with my hearing aids, and some of it was actually kind of fun. Some of it wasn't. So you have that. But what do you refer to? Someone who isn't completely deaf, but still might need some help or still might have problems with hearing. For example, from behind. I've had to explain to someone, no, I'm not ignoring you. It's just that I'm not going to hear you if you're talking to the back of my head. If you're talking to my ponytail and you're calling my name, I'm probably not going to pick up on it unless you tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, I'm trying to talk to you. Right? Right. So, hard of hearing apparently is the nomenclature of the day, as opposed to hearing impaired, which focuses on the problem, as opposed to, well, actually they both kind of just focus on the issue at hand. They're not really focusing on a positive aspect or that I'm a person who cannot hear the way that I'm meant to hear, which is fine. Hearing impairment, deafness is a neurological disorder, much like my epilepsy. In this case, you're not picking up on the sound and you're not processing the sound that's being made the way that your ears and your brain are supposed to. This, however, is a bit of a mouthful. I have a hearing processing disorder is a bit of a mouthful. There are certain words that aren't so bad in and of themselves. It's how they're used. And then you fall prey to this thing called the euphemism treadmill. What that is words that are the polite term du jour, as opposed to the soup du jour, are increasingly rude over time because they're used as insults. There's one in particular. I don't want to use it because it has been, for many, many years, as long as I've been alive, a really, really bad word. And it really just means slow, that your brain or your body or your growth as a human being, physically or emotionally, is slowed down. That's pretty much what it means. However, it's been used so much as an insult that it has become a horrible insult, and one that, frankly, I do not want to come out of my mouth. There are words from other languages that I've noticed or in organization names like the NAACP, where you're like, a little bit of a remnant of a former time when this was the polite phrase. There was nothing wrong with that. But you see it with that. You see the euphemism treadmill when it comes down to the word for black in Spanish, often on, for example, a crayon or a mascara wand. And it really just means that it's describing the color that you're going to put on your eyelashes or on your piece of paper with the crayon. But it's become notoriously a bad slurry word, which is because this is how humans are. We love to be very rude to each other, and we like to do so sometimes in a polite, quote unquote, way. Now, one thing I do have a problem with is people who are so incensed by everything that they insist that everyone be very, very polite. So they will say things like, and I have had issues with people who do this. And it's like, no, let me describe myself as I describe myself. You do not tell me how I can speak or how I can think. That is not okay. Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how you think I think. Because I can tell you this. We will be on diametrically opposing sides. However, it's not okay to be slurry. Not okay at all. That is wrong. That is horrible. Don't do that. It is not okay to be a jerk to other human beings. Duh. It is not okay to use... But I can tell you that even really rude, somewhat rude phrases such as moron or idiot used to be the polite terms. And then over time they became, well, slurs. So over time you're going to see things like hard of hearing, hearing impaired, things like that being used as slurs but there are phrases in this world that are based on disabilities, and should we cut them out of our vocabulary completely, such as falling on deaf ears, being tone deaf. Now, most human beings can pick up on the tone of a song or, but some people are basically incapable of being musical. It is just a thing. It's not a bad thing. They have other talents. But it's not okay to tell people, no, you can't use that word because there are actually people who have deafness. It would be like telling me that I can't call an orange cat dumb because somehow I'm being rude to orange cats. But, okay, they're sweet but dim. And I don't think that is a bad thing to be necessarily. It's okay not to be the sharpest tool in the box. It's okay not to be able to make music. And it's okay not to be able to hear. Granted, there are times when it comes in handy. Like if there's a car behind you and you're walking the street, da-da-da, as you do, da-da-da, because everyone does this. You know that? Really? That would come in handy to be able to pick up on a high-pitched sound rather than having to find the deepest, most aggravating noise ever to be your alarm tone so that you can pick up on it and it will wake you up even without the hearing aids. So using vibration, for example, works like a charm, but you don't really want to be shaken awake every single morning or think that you're, hearing the deepest tone that you get and feeling like you're in the middle of an alien invasion or a problem on a ship on Star Trek. We all know the sounds that I'm thinking about. I think there was literally an alarm clock that Nickelodeon made for kids that had that sound on purpose because kids love annoying noises. But I can tell you that telling other people what they may say or how they may say it is not okay. And I can also say that using words for disability as an insult to your friend Joe who did something completely goofy is pretty much, you're acting a little, you're not really using your brain, are you, Joe? Come on. But I'm probably not going to go after you if you call someone brain dead. I might be a little bit tweaked out if the word out of your mouth is spaz, because apparently spastic used to be the polite word du jour. However, there have been reasons why that has become an insult. Can you figure it out? In fact, when a guy went on a British television show for kids back in the 70s, I believe, and they used the phrase spastic because that was the word of the day, people were making fun of his stuff and using it to mock people with disabilities and mock each other, so that became kind of gross and rude. Maybe we could stand to make up our own language as we go instead of having to borrow from, say, the world of neurology and the world of special education. I personally enjoy if something is not working correctly or if it's a giant snafu. Well, this is borked. Makes you feel like you're talking a bit to the Swedish chef. This is SOL. We all SOL. We all know what that means, I hope. And if you don't, it's shite out of luck. Now, or snafu, situation normal, all fouled up. I am doing my best to ensure that you could watch this with your grandmother without her complaining about cussing. So what I'm basically saying is, don't tell people what language they may use. Be really, really careful when you see a word that looks very, very rude from another language to not be like, well, that's rude in English, so it's rude everywhere. And be wary of telling other people how to live and how to talk. People are not going to appreciate that. And in conclusion, I'm going to borrow from Jerry Springer, R.I.P., the world's only honest politician, strangely enough. Take care of yourselves and each other. Love yourselves. And drink plenty of water. Caffeinate if you must. And give yourself a break. Love you.